A lot of parents think that giving less details the safer option. And look, I get it. They're trying not to overwhelm their autistic child, not to say too much and not to turn it into a bigger thing than it needs to be. But this is something I've seen over and over again, both in sexual health and also in my own neurodivergent family. For autistic tweens, less detail often doesn't make things easier, just leaves more room for confusion. And that matters because when a rule is vague, a literal learner is left trying to work out what you meant. So stick with me because I'm going to show you later what vague teaching looks like and what clearer teaching sounds like instead. Most parents aren't doing this because they don't care. It's usually the opposite. They care a lot and they're trying to be careful and they're trying not to get it wrong. So what happens though is that careful for the parent can often end up being unclear for the child. So the parent feels like they've explained it beautifully, but the child has only been given part of the rule, and then they've got to work out the rest themselves. That's the bit that causes problems because safety rules, they really shouldn't depend on a child correctly guessing what the adult meant. So let's look at the sort of things parents say all the time. Things like be careful or that's private or don't do that here. Because those phrases, they sound fine when you say them quickly, but when you stop and unpack them, they're actually pretty fuzzy. So what does be careful mean? Careful with who? Careful where? Careful doing what? And that's private can be even worse because kids can hear that as secret or shameful or bad or never ask me about this again. Honestly, this is one of the biggest patterns that I see. Adults think they've been clear because the sentence was short, but short's not the same thing as clear. And in a minute, I'll show you what usually needs to be added to make those rules actually useful. What autistic tweens often need isn't less information. They actually need clearer information, more concrete information, enough detail that they can actually use the rule in real life. So usually that means filling in the gaps. So who are we talking about? Where does this apply? When does it apply? What exactly are you talking about? And why does the rule matter? Sometimes they also need the exception or what to do if they're not sure, because that's often where things fall apart too. And the adult gives the rule, but not that extra bit that helps the child to use it properly. Now, I want to be really clear here because this is where parents can panic a bit. More detail does not mean giving a massive speech. Doesn't mean sitting your child down and talking for 20 minutes. It just means giving enough detail for the rule or information to make sense. That's all. One clear rule, one short reason, maybe one example, then you stop. That's something I've learnt over a long time doing this work. You don't need to say everything. You just need to say enough that your child isn't left trying to fill in the blanks. So instead of saying that's private, you might say some body behaviours are private. Private means when you're alone in your bedroom or our bathroom with the door shut. Not at school, not in the lounge room, and not when other people are around. That is still not a huge explanation, but it's much more useful. And it tells a child what private actually means instead of expecting them to somehow know. And that's the difference. We're not adding detail for the sake of it. We're adding the detail that makes the rule workable. So let me show you a few quick examples because this is usually where it clicks. If you say be appropriate, that can mean anything. A clearer version would be talking about body changes is okay with me at home, but it's not something to shout across the classroom or to ask strangers about. And if you say that's private, a clearer version might be private means parts covered by underwear and some body behaviours. Private doesn't mean secret. You can always ask me questions. And if you say don't do that here, a clearer version could be that's something for your bedroom or bathroom when you're alone, not when other people are in the room. And that's what makes the rule usable. It gives the child something they can actually do. So if you've been keeping things vague because you were trying not to overwhelm your child, that makes sense. And I really do mean that. But this is one of those spots where pulling back too far can make things harder and not easier. Autistic tweens, they often need more clarity, not less. Not more words for the sake of it, just clearer words, more usable words. And honestly, that's one of the best things you can do if you want to be askable. Because when your child knows what you mean and they know they can come back and ask whenever they're unsure, that's where safety starts to build.